Man, I really wish I didn't have to start the podcast off today with this news. And I really didn't even expect to record today. Last time I left you guys off with part 2 on Saturday, I told you guys I wasn't going to record for the rest of the weekend. And then just get ready for Monday Night Raw as we lead into the go-home for Summerslam. Or Summer Scam. Depending on who you talk to. But this was tweeted out by Bret Hart. Stunned and saddened. I just don't have the words right now. Jim the Anvil Neidhart, at the age of 63 years old, passed away this morning. I didn't get to bed till 5 a.m. And I was up late. I couldn't sleep. It was humid. I just was not tired. I laid my head down to rest. I just couldn't fall asleep. So I was up till 5 a.m. and I woke up around 11:30. You know, the great things about working from home. And I woke up at 11:30. I go to my Twitter and I see the first thing pop up on my feed was that everybody, you know, praying for the Hart family and Natalia and the news of Jim the Anvil Neidhart passing away. And this picture, man, brings back a lot of memories. This picture brings back a whole bunch of memories. I can remember sitting in my mom's living room, man, with my brother. My brother loved the Hart Foundation. My brother loved Bret the Hitman Hart. I mean, we still talk about wrestling today. And every time, you know, the best of all time is brought up, Bret is always brought up in every conversation. If Bret is not brought up in the greatest of all time conversation, then you really aren't watching the product right. Or you really don't know much. Bret was not only one of the greatest of all time, but Bret was part of one of the greatest tag teams of all time. Everything that Bret did was some of the greatest material that you'd ever see in this business. This right here, man. Look, I mean, just look at this picture. That is a perfect fucking tag team. A perfect tag team. And man, do I miss those titles. Those tag team titles were absolutely gorgeous. Not like the fucking shit we got today. You know, those championships captured the true essence of what it is to be a fucking champion. You couldn't find a more perfect tag team, man. And I'm not saying this because, you know, of all the bullshit you hear when somebody passes away. Oh, he's the greatest of all time. You know, you're such a good person. You know, they're a piece of shit when they're alive, but when they pass away, they're the greatest fucking human being that ever walked the earth. You know, I'm never like that. If I don't like you, I don't like you. If I adored you, then you'll know. This truly was one of the greatest tag teams of all time, man. Bret was Bret. You guys know what he was capable of. You guys know what he did, you know. And then you have Jim the Anvil Neidhart, man. He wasn't the biggest guy, but when you talk about fucking muscle in a tag team, you always refer to Jim the Anvil Neidhart. These guys, you know, I could just you think back to watching this shit with my parents, man. My parents would be forced to order anything WWF related when we were growing up because I was such a big fan. You know, we couldn't wait to watch, you know, our favorites. I was a big Ultimate Warrior guy. I was big into the Rockers. I loved the Rockers with their colorful attire, you know. I loved Mr. Perfect. And the Hart Foundation was up there. The Hart Foundation and Demolition were my two most favorite tag teams of all time, even to this day. You look back at tag team wrestling, man. Tag team wrestling had a certain essence to it. It had its own identity. You know, you had the Hart Foundation, you had Demolition, you had teams like the Natural Disasters, you had the British Bulldogs, you had the Brain Busters, you had Strike Force, you had the Quebecers, you had Money Inc., Legion of Doom, the Nasty Boys, the Rockers. Man, it just had its own identity. Everybody stood out. Everybody was great in their own way. But these guys stood above all, in my honest opinion. Bret was the technical masterpiece. He was the mat guy, the wrestling guy, the great storyteller. One of the greatest storytellers in the history of this sport. And Jim the Anvil Neidhart, man, like I said, wasn't a big guy, but you think of muscle, man. When he got that hot tag and he exploded out of the corner, there was nothing better. And I could still picture my brother's face and us just being excited about watching them wrestle. And this year alone, man, we've gone through, it seems like almost every week, every month, there's a wrestling-related death. Now, we don't know what happened to Jim Neidhart. I do know that he was suffering from early stages of Alzheimer's, but I don't think that's exactly what killed him. And news has not been reported yet as to what the cause of death was. You know, right now it's none of our business. We should be more concerned with giving, you know, the family and Natty and everybody related to Jim Neidhart, you know, privacy and, you know, let them deal with this the way that they need to deal with it. But these guys right here, man, looking at those championship belts around their waist, former two-time WWF Tag Team Champions. You know, they won their first Tag Team Championships against the British Bulldogs. It was Davey Boy Smith and the Dynamite Kid. I believe that was in 1987. And then they lost the Tag Team Championships that year in November to Tito Santana and the model, Rick Martel. I don't think he was the model at that point. They were Strike Force at that point. So it was Rick Martel and Tito Santana. Then Rick Martel, you know, embraced the gimmick of the model. Another guy who I think back and just think of, man, everybody back in the day had such a great identity. You know, speaking of Demolition, you know, Hart Foundation and Demolition were no strangers to one another, man. They had some decent feuds. First time the Hart Foundation was unsuccessful in beating Axe and Smash. And then the second go-around, in 1990, I believe it was, at SummerSlam, they beat Demolition. And they won the Tag Team Championships for the second time. And that wasn't Axe and Smash of Demolition. That was actually Smash and Crush, I believe. Because Axe at the time was going through some health issues. But they were former two-time WWF Tag Team Champions. There was an instance, you know, the Rockers were never like credited with a tag team title reign. When you think back to it in retrospect, it's fucking weird how Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, how great of a tag team that they were back in the day, never won the tag team championships. I always found that to be bizarre. You know, they had the perfect makeup of a great tag team as well in their own right. You know. And that's what you look to when you look at a tag team. You look at two guys like that and comprise them of a tag team. You know, with Bret and Anvil, you had everything. You had the speed, you had the technical aspect of wrestling, you had the power. But the Rockers actually beat the Hart Foundation in a non-televised tag team title match. And it was never credited because it wasn't shown on television. So the Rockers actually beat the Hart Foundation to become WWF Tag Team Champions, but it's not in the record books, and WWE really doesn't acknowledge that. Jim Neidhart actually was a driving force in Owen Hart as well. I don't know if you guys remember, the 1993 King of the Ring, Bret won. And then coincidentally, just a year after that, Owen became the King of Hearts in Baltimore and won the 1994 King of the Ring with Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Jim Neidhart actually assisted Bret in retaining the title that night against Diesel. I think that was their first match together. Definitely not their best match. I think it was the 1996 Survivor Series that Bret and Diesel just tore the house down, man. What a fucking great match, man. Unbelievable. No DQ match for the WWF title. Great fucking match. But it was that night, 1994, or 1995, one of them. I forgot what year. It was 95, 96. I know. All I remember from that match, it was so great. Diesel lost via a roll-up or a small package. And then he powerbombed referees at the end. I know Bret took the camera cable on the outside and tied his legs, Diesel's legs, around the ring post and gave him one of them ring post figure fours. Great shit, man. think it was 95. I'm not really. I'm terrible with fucking dates. But I know it was King of the Ring 1994 where Brett and Diesel went at it. Jim Neidhart actually caused the DQ there and helped Brett retain the title. That very same night when Owen actually fought Razor Ramon in the finals of the King of the Ring, he helped Owen win that match and just conveniently heel turned by the end of the night. Now, it was a shock to everybody and just out of nowhere, just turned his back on Brett. Meanwhile, he was with Brett earlier in the night. So that's where the whole Hart family thing came to be. And then that year, one of the greatest steel cage matches of all time, Anvil was against Brett when Brett went against Owen at the 1994 SummerSlam in Chicago. That was the SummerSlam with Walter Payton and The Undertaker versus The Undertaker. I remember that event having Bull Nakano versus Alundra Blaze in a great women's championship match. Some great stuff on that show. But that was the steel cage match in 1994 at SummerSlam. And so Brett and Anvil had, their differences there. Anvil then came back in 1997, and he joined the Hart Foundation when they were the anti-American version with Brian Pillman and the British Bulldog, Owen, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and Brett. And then you look back at that and think about how great they were. And think to the fact that Brett is the only one remaining alive of that fivesome. It's unbelievable, man, And they were unbelievable, man. Brett, again, he just did everything just perfectly. Great heel. Jim the Anvil Neidhart was there side by side. It was just a great thing to see. Jim Neidhart and Brett back together. This time, leading Brett to the WWF Championship, and him just going against America. It was just a great time. That was just some great stuff, man. I remember the matches where the Hart Foundation would be feuding with the likes of Austin, and I remember vividly just watching Brett and the Patriot, Del Wilkes, on Monday Night Raw, man. You don't see that type of shit anymore, man. You don't see that type of fucking hatred and crowd reaction. Jim Neidhart was a part of a faction that, man, you talk about fucking heat. When they came to America, oh my fucking God, man. You cannot recreate something like that. And he was a part of, like, one of the best fucking, to me, one of the best stables, one of the best group of fucking guys that WWE ever put together. They were one of the best times that I can remember watching this product. It's just a sad thing, man. All of our childhood heroes, and it's going to happen. It's a part of life, but, to wake up to it and not expect it, it sucks. And again, I don't know what the cause of death was, but reportedly it's not Alzheimer's. I know he was suffering from Alzheimer's. It was actually publicized that he was suffering from early stages of Alzheimer's, and I don't want to see anybody go through that. So I don't know what it could be. I don't know if it was a weight-related issue. I don't know if it was a heart attack. I don't know. All I know is that Natty was always trying to help, her father, get back on a healthy track, on a healthy way of living, and that was actually publicized on Total Divas. Natty was always trying to help her father lose weight or eat healthy and get right. Because some of the earlier episodes where you seen him on the show, he didn't look good at all. He was always just so red in the face, and I always remembered him being that way. But when you see him in his older age and he's just so beat red in the face, that I don't think that's a healthy thing to see. So I don't know what other ailments he was suffering from, but to wake up to a legend in his own right, one half of the greatest tag teams in the history of our sport passing away, man. It sucks, and I pray for everybody, in the Hart family. God knows what Brett's going through, with Owen. He still lives with Owen every day. And now his tag team partner in crime, no longer there. Davey Boy gone. Everybody, man. You just look back on it and you just realize how fragile life is, and You know, these guys, you know, what they did and what they did for us, you know, obviously this is the reason why I love the WWE Network, man. These guys are idolized forever. We can go back and watch all the memories that they made special to us growing up as children, you know, anytime we want. You know, we have the opportunity when we have children of our own. If you guys are mothers or fathers, you know, and you wanna get your sons and daughters onto professional wrestling, man, you go back and you go to the 80s and the 90s and you show them, you know, this is what tag team wrestling was about, and you're gonna show them the Hart Foundation, you know. You know, my thoughts and prayers go out to Natalia and the entire Hart family and everybody involved with this, man. It just sucks. And, you know, I know Natty was supposed to fight Alexa Bliss tonight on the Go Home show with Ronda Rousey in her corner and then Alicia Fox in her corner, you know, picking up from where they left off last week. But I doubt that's going to happen right now, as WWE more than likely is going to give Natalia, you know, time off here to attend to family matters. But my thoughts and prayers go out to everybody in the Hart family, man. Sad day. Jim the Anvil Neidhart passes away at the age of 63. Causes yet unknown to everybody. I will fill you guys in this weekend as we get ready for SummerSlam. So rest in peace, the Anvil, man. You were definitely a huge part of my childhood and my brother's childhood, and may you rest in peace. This is Off the Script, episode 234, part number 3 for your Monday, right before the Go Home show of Monday Night Raw. We're going to hit some major stories, man. WWE has a shocking finish, no shit, planned for Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. We're going to talk about that. And I'm going to report this rumor, man, this silly rumor going around of Asuka leaving SmackDown Live last week over creative differences and the fact that she was not booked for SummerSlam. We're going to go over all this today, right here on part 3 of episode 234. Of Off the Script. Rest in peace, Anvil. Off this shitty fucking product by coming on here and speaking the fucking goddamn truth about this fucking filth.
I can book a better show taking a fucking dump after eating my fucking Chipotle chorizo with extra cheese.
I don't give a fuck what anybody has to say. Have I ever? Of course not.
WWE is great, man. Fuck you, Japan, and Kenny Omega, Okada. Delete! What is it, man? Can I suck your dick? What is it, man?
Well, this is the #1 fucking podcast.
Right here on YouTube.com!
This is Off the Script. Man, it's finally here. SummerSlam week is upon us, and I couldn't feel any less excited than I do today. I'm looking forward to TakeOver, obviously, for obvious reasons. SummerSlam I couldn't give a single fuck about, man. I'm actually more excited to be meeting some of you guys on Saturday, potentially, if I am in and around Brooklyn. I should have something just nailed down by the end of tonight. I think I'm gonna be in Brooklyn on Saturday afternoon. If you guys want to come drink with me before TakeOver, I'm gonna pick a spot by Monday Night Raw tonight. I'll let you guys know. Probably be in and around Brooklyn on Saturday afternoon. Sunday, I will be in town as well in Brooklyn. So if you guys want to come on out and meet me, I'm definitely going to be doing a meet and greet, but it's going to be a joint effort with Justin LaBar of Wrestling Reality. My good friend Justin LaBar. We're going to be joined by Ticket Drew. These are two guys that I look up to professionally, man. They conduct themselves in the most professional manner. I look at them for inspiration on how to handle business. And I am very fortunate and lucky to be working alongside these two fine gentlemen again on Sunday afternoon. We will be at 205th in Brooklyn right before SummerSlam. I'm going to be there personally early. I'll be there around 2:30, 3 p.m. Justin's going to be there at 4. And we're going to get started at 4 p.m., man. We're going to do a Q&A. It's going to be conducted with Drew, Ticket Drew. He's going to be moderating and mediating the whole thing. He's going to be taking questions I'll be drinking some vodka tonic as always. That's what I usually drink when I'm around the bar. Or, I'll have a beer or two. But, I usually stick to the vodka tonics when I'm around him. And we're going to be answering your questions. We're going to be talking WWE. Man, there is nobody that I know that has more of a differing opinion on WWE than Justin. But every time we get together, man, it's always entertaining and it's always a great debate. And I want you guys to come on out. And this is the third year now that I'm doing this with him. Fantastic stuff. So come on out, man. 205th Sunday, SummerSlam Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. Again, it's 205th. It's literally 3 or 4 blocks away from Barclays Center. It's literally a stroll up the street, and you're there at Barclays Center. And we'll be doing that. I'll be there at 3 p.m. So if you guys want to come on out, come out, have some fun, man. Have some cold beverages, and talk some WWE. We'll probably be going over SummerSlam's card, and we're talking about what's going on with the state of professional wrestling today. We'll probably throw in some, G1 Supercard, our thoughts on that, some NXT, because I think he's going to the NXT show. NXT TakeOver will have concluded by then. Lots of stuff to talk about, so come on out, man. 205th, Sunday afternoon, SummerSlam Sunday from 4 to 6. I'll be there at 3 p.m. And again, remember, follow me on Twitter, at JDFROMNY206. I know a lot of you guys are going to TakeOver. A lot of you guys told me specifically that you're going to TakeOver and not SummerSlam. So I want to be in and around Brooklyn on Saturday just to kind of, hang out with you guys as well. And I'll pick a nice craft beer place that we could all hang out at and just shoot the shit. So thank you guys so very much. I want to mention, because, YouTube sucks, Part 2 is uploaded. And we talked about the CM Punk Colt Cabana situation. Colt Cabana suing CM Punk for $1 million. We also talked about the Randy Orton situation, and apparently there is allegations going around, thrown out by Court Bauer of MLW Podcast, where Randy Orton showed his cock to several WWE writers back in 2005. Now, this was the immature Randy Orton, but this is 2018, almost, 13 years later. And I discussed that, and I give you my opinion on that. Seemingly, the internet is trying to get Randy Orton fired from WWE. Now, I don't think Randy Orton is going to get fired over these allegations. WWE is looking into it. The last that I read on this situation is that WWE is investigating these claims. But we talk about that. Those are the two big stories coming out of Part 2. It was slightly demonetized for a small portion of the evening, and then in the wee hours, the early hours of the morning, it went back to the green monetization symbol. So when it goes demonetized, WWE, oh, fuck WWE. When it goes demonetized, YouTube pulls all the ads from it, and then it kills the search. So then it goes back to green, and I don't know if it goes back to being a searchable video on YouTube's engine. So I don't know. But if you guys missed Part 2, it is uploaded. Go and check that out. You guys can find that in the annotation above in the top right corner. It'll be there with Part 1. It'll be there with some of these live streams that I conducted this past weekend with Call of Duty, Black Ops 4, terrible beta. And I also want to make mention that my House of Glory Cutting Corners show has reached 4 episodes now. We did Matt Travis, we did Sonya Strong, we did Leroy Green, and we did Evander James. This was uploaded yesterday at 2 p.m. It went live. And if you guys want to go check out episode 4 with Evander James, it's about 10 minutes long. We go over his loss to the psycho named Sami Callihan, or the psycho known as Sami Callihan. Sami Callihan actually beat him for the House of Glory Crown Jewel Championship, and Evander James speaks out for the first time about losing that Crown Jewel Championship to someone who came over from Impact Wrestling and invaded House of Glory and seemingly took the second biggest championship that House of Glory has. And at the end of that video, there is a stern warning, a very grave warning to Sami Callihan. So I want you guys to go check that out, man. Leave a thumbs up, leave me a comment, let me know what you think. And this is all getting ready for High Intensity 7. High Intensity 7 is coming up on Friday, this Friday, August 17th at the NYC Arena in Jamaica, Queens. Tickets are still on sale. HOGWrestling.net. First, second, third row are all sold out. We are expecting a sellout crowd. A show that's going to include Enzo Amore, Sami Callihan, Austin Aries, LAX of Impact Wrestling is going to be there. And it's going to be great. No ropes match for the main event. Amazing Red versus Anthony Gangone for the House of Glory World Championship. And a pre-show that is going to be me and Solid Monster for an hour and a half conducting a pre-show panel, man. You don't want to miss this one, man. It's going to be fucking awesome. First time I'm going to be working with Jason, and it's going to be awesome. And I can't wait to see what happens. It's going to be a very, very wild and unpredictable evening, man. Meet and greet starts at 5. Pre-show will probably start at 5:30. We'll probably go to 6:30. Bell time is at 7, but you know with these indie shows, they never start on time. So come on out. If it's the first time you're going to meet me, if it's the first time you're going to see House of Glory, if it's the first time you're going to meet Jason in person, you know, he's going to be there with me, man. So Solid Monster is our special guest, High Intensity 7, on top of everything else that's going on. It's going to be a great, great show. So thank you guys so very much for all that. Please follow me on Twitter. Keep up to date on everything. JD from NY206. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for notifications, man. We are halfway to 96,000 subscribers. Let's do it. I'd love to get that right before SummerSlam. I have a good feeling that we'll hit that with the SummerSlam review coming up this weekend. Other than that, man, I don't want to get into too much. I want to hit the news. You know, I'll do all my typical bullshit at the end, but I want to hit the news. And like I said, I wasn't going to record today because, I didn't have any news. And then all of a sudden there was a few stories that came out, and I'm like, you know what? This is good for a podcast. Let's do it. This is good for a part 3. Let's sit down and talk WWE. We all know SummerSlam is going to be a fucking colossal failure as far as quality. It's going to be a very newsworthy show, but as far as quality, it's going to be a failure. And we all know the finish for SummerSlam, or I guess we can all assume the finish for SummerSlam, will be Reigns and Lesnar. Now, I don't know how good of an idea that is. This is a main event that nobody wants, featuring 2 guys that nobody cares for. After a 4.5, 5-hour show, Lesnar and Reigns has WrestleMania written all over it again. That crowd sat through 5 hours of show and shit all over the main event because they were absolutely exhausted. There really wasn't anything on that show that the fans could sink their teeth into and say, wow, I am fucking so happy to be here. It wasn't even average at best, WrestleMania. It wasn't. Everything about WrestleMania was a fucking disappointment. But WWE is planning on Reigns and Lesnar to main event SummerSlam, and I don't know if they're stupid or they are really fucking stupid. But they are destined for failure again because they never learn from their mistakes. Now, I mentioned on Monday Night Raw Review, in my rant, where WWE forced this agenda on you with Brock Lesnar being portrayed as if he didn't give a shit. Tell me something new, why don't you? Sitting down in the back, reading Backwoodsman magazine, ordering Paul Heyman around to go get him a steak and a baked potato. All you have to do is walk a couple of feet. There's Titus Catering. I'm sure he has grade A quality sirloin. And the most organic of baked potatoes. But they have Lesnar being portrayed in a way that we know Lesnar really is. Why would I watch the show, Paul? I don't watch the show. Good on you, Brock. You're uttering the sentiments of everybody watching this show right now. Roman Reigns being escorted out of the building. Roman Reigns trying to be the hero. Brock Lesnar now attacking Paul Heyman, choking Paul Heyman out. All this shit. WWE forcing the agenda heavily, brainwashing you, trying to manipulate you into thinking that Reigns is really the guy that you want, but he really is not the guy that we want or need. It's all bullshit. And I said on Monday Night Raw Review that with the way things are going right now, it's very eerily similar to what Lesnar and Goldberg did. And I threw out the idea that I would not be shocked if WWE goes into SummerSlam and has this Universal Championship match end in relatively quick fashion. A Superman punch. Lesnar is bouncing off the ropes. He's stunned. Another Superman punch. Another Superman punch. A spear. And it's over. WWE, instead of going because I honestly don't know how WWE could sit there and book another match after what we've seen at WrestleMania between these two guys. What else are you going to give us? There's nothing else that you could do. The only logical outcome for this match is a shock finish. You cannot let these guys go out there and get a 20-minute match. The fans will fucking kill it. You can't go out there and have Roman Reigns be beaten down by the monster Brock Lesnar. We've seen it at WrestleMania, and people shit all over it. How many more F5s does it take to beat Roman Reigns if you're Brock Lesnar? He already gave him 6 F5s at WrestleMania. What, are you going to double up on that? Nobody wants to sit there and see F5 after F5 after F5, kick out after kick out after kick out. You're really trying the fans' patience at that point. And you're really telling them, you're fucking stupid. You bought a ticket to this shit. Now you have to sit and watch what we give you. You can't do it. You can't do it. I am going with a shock finish. I am going with an instant win here for Roman Reigns. I'm going with the Goldberg route. And I mentioned it on Monday. I would not put it past WWE to go that route. And apparently, Dave Meltzer now is reporting the same exact thing. Now, we all know that Lesnar needs to drop the title. He's going to go back into full training for a UFC return. And he needs to be at his absolute best against Daniel Cormier. He needs to be. Otherwise, he's not even going to come close to winning the UFC championship. Vince McMahon is surely intrigued, though. You know, and again, I would not put it past WWE to have Lesnar walk out of SummerSlam with the championship. In fact, you know, I'm tired of repeating myself. If I was booking this, I would have Lesnar walk out of SummerSlam with the championship. I would have Strowman cash in, and then I would turn Roman heel on Monday night. That's what I would do. I would have Lesnar actually be the recipient of the shock finish. Give him the victory. Let him get the shocking victory. Put Roman Reigns there. Bury Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. Paul Heyman did say that Brock Lesnar's the most violent he's ever seen. You can't be uttering sentiments like that and then go into SummerSlam and have him do nothing short of a fucking 2-minute squash. But Vince McMahon, you know, no matter what outcome we devise here, Vince McMahon is intrigued by having his world champion also carry around the UFC heavyweight championship and become a dual champion in 2 different sports. That means a lot of money for WWE. Now, the obvious narrative has always been Roman Reigns, who's been so close, yet so far. Management's holding him down. They have this champion parading around doing what he wants. Somebody needs to stand up to this nonsense. Blah, 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 blah. Roman Reigns is a hero, thinking he's some fucking superhero trying to conquer the villain. And nobody wants the superhero. They always go back to wanting the villain to beat the superhero. It's good versus bad in WWE's mind, but it's just bad versus bad, but we're taking the lesser of 2 evils here in Brock Lesnar. The WWE has a good reason to keep the belt on Lesnar, and all this teasing that he and Paul Heyman will split has obviously, you know, factored into a lot of people's opinions now going into the go-home show. According to Brian Alvarez of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, the WWE is considering doing something out of the ordinary for their SummerSlam match. I quote from Alvarez. Right now, there are apparently 2 ideas for the Lesnar-Roman match, Alvarez says. One of them is a rather short match, and the other is, you guessed it, a long match. They can't do the long match. I am telling you right now, I don't give a fuck who you are. I don't care where you are listening to me. I don't care if you are watching me and you are employed by WWE Creative right now, and you're listening to me right now before you sit down and write this fucking piece of shit show called Raw tonight. You cannot have Reigns and Lesnar go the length that they did at WrestleMania. You cannot. If you want to salvage this match, which right now is unsalvageable, this is a lost cause. If you don't want it to be at its absolute worst, you cannot book this match the same way as WrestleMania. There is only one way to finish this match. It is either a quick win for Lesnar or a quick win for Reigns. That is it. The fans don't want to sit there after 5 hours and watch a match that nobody gives a fuck about. Nobody wants to sit there after 5 hours and watch Roman Reigns win the WWF, or WWF. I've got WWF in my head after the fucking Neidhart talk. WWE Universal Championship. It's not the guy we want. We don't want to see him go through 7 F5s, 14 F5s, 21 F5s. We don't want to see it. We don't want to see it. It's not a believable scenario. He's not fucking Superman. You know, he may have the Superman punch. He may have Superman-esque powers according to Vince McMahon. No. You cannot have this guy go in there and take a beating and then by the skin of his fucking teeth pull out a victory. It's either a unanimous victory for Brock Lesnar or a unanimous victory for Roman Reigns. There's no in-between. WWE booked themselves into a corner with this match because they're pushing something on the people that nobody wants. Now, Alvarez says, by long, I mean one of the longer matches Brock has ever had since he's been with the company. I guess they'll decide which one is best on the day of the show. You know, Roman ain't AJ Styles. AJ Styles' match with Brock Lesnar was fucking fantastic. You know, Roman, after what we've seen at WrestleMania, I want you guys to go back and watch that match as a just review for what you guys need to not do. You cannot go that route. I don't give a fuck who you are. Now, this isn't really all that of a big story. You know, this is something that's being talked about right now. It's not fucking gonna set the world on fire as far as wrestling rumors. But this is their option. These are their options. There is no in-between. But WWE is leaning and contemplating at least towards a shock finish. Now, if they go with a squash, one would assume that WWE wouldn't be making Lesnar look strong for the UFC, and that wouldn't make sense whatsoever. But does it even matter at that point? Lesnar's a joke in his own right at this point in WWE, so what the fuck difference does it make? It would be Reigns squashing Lesnar, and then Lesnar goes to the UFC and does what he's got to do. A really long match wouldn't really be in WWE's best interest because of the reasons I gave you. The crowd is almost certainly going to try and hijack the match once again, and the idea of seeing two big men exchange finishes in a barrage of German suplexes, you know, is not what the New York City crowd is going to say. Yeah, man, this is a great match. I can't wait to go home and watch this on the network. Nobody wants to fucking see that shit. The WWE could shock the world by having Reigns go over strong in a shock finish, quick, painless. It'll still be painful, but it'll be painless as far as Lesnar-Reigns matches go. Or they could have Lesnar go in and just completely dominate and win quick. Win quick. But if Lesnar isn't fully departing the company, it would be hard to imagine them doing that to him after keeping him so just on top for so long. How would you guys go about this, man? How would you guys go about it? There really is no in-between here. Lesnar or Reigns, quick victory. There is no in-between. The in-between is the long match, the WrestleMania-like match. They can't do it. They can't do it. And if I was to choose the outcome here, Reigns is turning heel. I don't give a fuck what happens. You want to line him with Heyman? You want to have him fucking set up his own new stable? Whatever. I like my idea. I mean, this has brilliance written all over it. Roman Reigns would go from fuck you Roman to must see Roman. I don't think there's anybody watching me right now that would not want to watch Roman Reigns and the Authors of Pain. Or Roman Reigns in a new Shield. Or an anti-management Roman Reigns who says fuck you to the fans and embraces the hate like Tommaso Ciampa. What Ciampa is doing now, Roman Reigns should have been doing. There's no reason why this guy's going to come out there and pander to the fucking fans. I come out here and I work hard. I need to give you a champion you guys deserve. We don't want you as champion. Nobody ever asked you to win the championship for us. WWE is booking themselves into a fucking corner with this match. Will they do the right thing? Probably not. Probably not. But it's certainly going to be newsworthy coming out of Sunday's SummerSlam pay-per-view. Let me know what you guys think down below. What is going to happen? I just find it funny how I mentioned in passing. I never said it was actually going to happen. I didn't say that was my prediction. I mentioned that I would not be surprised if Roman Reigns wins this match with a Superman punch and a spear, and that is it. But then again, you look at Brock Lesnar. How are you going to just fucking spear this guy 1, 2, 3 and win? You know, Roman ain't Goldberg. Roman ain't Goldberg. You know, a spear and a jackhammer could probably do Lesnar in. A Superman punch and Roman spear? It's a little less believable, my friends. A little less believable. Let me know what you guys think down below. What are you thinking for the ending of the Reigns-Lesnar match at SummerSlam? Speaking of SummerSlam, Reigns was actually asked about wanting to be a Paul Heyman guy. Does he want to be a Paul Heyman guy or not? Now, Roman Reigns revealed in an interview. He was interviewed by, I don't know if it was the New York Post. Who was it? I don't really have it here. Who the fuck was he interviewed by? It's in my notes. I have it here. It might have been Sports Illustrated. I don't know. One of these stupid fucking publications, man. Anyway, Roman Reigns revealed that he doesn't want to team up with Heyman because he wants to talk for himself and do more interactive promos. Yeah, I wish Roman Reigns would talk for himself and be portrayed in the way that it needs to be portrayed. He said, and I quote, "Nah, I like talking for myself. That's one thing I want to do, just a little longer promos, you know what I mean? Just me and the mic, that would be nice. Do a lot of interactive promos in the ring and stuff like that. That's how you grow, and it'll be cool to get these long solo promos. Working with Paul, there's nothing wrong with just sitting there like a boss and let your attorney do your talking. That's how you grow, you know?" That's what he said. Let him talk the logistics, and I'm sure Paul won't have a problem reading off my resume. It'll take a while, but he's pretty good with stuff like that. But I would still want to talk for myself 100%. Despite not wanting to work with Heyman, Reigns did take time to praise him, stating how he enjoys to share his time with Heyman on camera. I quote, "His knowledge, he has a wealth of it. I don't hire the people here or know how all that works as far as who stays around here and doesn't. But if we were only to have Paul for X amount of time, or if he's here every single day or not, on Monday he is here, and you should pick his brain if he is indeed here. He has some really cool twists on everything. He's very smart and doesn't look at things through one perspective. There's so many different rules in this business. He's come all the way from being a young boy posting towns to being one of the most creative minds that has ever stepped foot in the ring in this business. It's great to work around and have him around." End quote. Reigns sure has a lot of respect for Heyman, but it doesn't look like the two will be working together anytime soon if he just outwardly came out and said this. Or this could be just a fucking ploy, and Heyman could line himself with Reigns at SummerSlam. We will have to wait and see to find out for sure. So I thought that was very interesting how WWE released the unaired footage of the Renee Young interview with Paul Heyman, and then this week, you know, soon after, we found publications releasing Roman Reigns being asked if he would be a Paul Heyman guy, and that's the answer that we got. So it's going to be very interesting at SummerSlam. I mentioned this already on this weekend's show. I would not take Paul Heyman away from Brock Lesnar. You know, they are like the perfect pairing. You know, if Lesnar is going to stay with the WWE and he's going to work both WWE and UFC, he's going to work WWE when he's not working UFC, he's going to work UFC when he's not working WWE. You want Lesnar to be with Heyman. You know, I don't mind Lesnar if he talks on his own, but, you know, the Lesnar that I want is the UFC Lesnar. When the UFC Lesnar takes the microphone, then that's when shit goes down. You know, he won't be able to do half that shit in WWE. So having Heyman there speak for him is probably best for him. But we'll see what happens, man. I would not pull Heyman away from Brock Lesnar, and I don't know what WWE has up their sleeve. You know, the attack on Heyman could be a setup. You know, maybe Heyman ordered Lesnar to attack him to just throw everybody off. You know? Maybe it's mind games of sort to get into the mind of Roman Reigns and figure, you know what, maybe if Roman Reigns feels like Heyman is not in Lesnar's corner, that he has a legit shot to beat Brock Lesnar. That may be that may be a hidden story that they don't want you to know yet, but that may be the story that they're trying to tell. I don't know. It's always a possibility. You got to put it on the table as possible outcomes for this match. Because I don't know why WWE would pull Paul Heyman from Brock Lesnar. It's fucking stupid. It's absolutely stupid. That would be like me taking Zelina Vega away from Andrade Cien Almas. It makes absolutely no sense. It's like WWE taking Lana away from Rusev the first time. It didn't make any fucking sense. Why would you do that? It's like WWE taking Paul Ellering away from Authors of Pain. It doesn't make any sense. I don't understand it. It's like taking Jimmy Hart away from Hulk Hogan. Come on, bro. It's fucking ridiculous. Gotta do something. Gotta do something to make this fucking less painful than we are anticipating on Sunday night. And I don't think Paul Heyman aligning himself with anybody is the right choice. I think he and Lesnar should remain together. You know, but the possibility of it being just a mind game thing, you know, that's the way I could see Heyman operating. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about that. This other story here, man. Asuka walking out on Smackdown Live, walking out on WWE. Now, I don't know if this would happen, but all I could tell you is that this is fake news. And I've seen a lot of people telling me Asuka walked out of WWE. I was streaming on Twitch and I was streaming on YouTube. Asuka walked out of WWE. No, she didn't. Would I blame her if she walked out of WWE? Of course not. Of course not, man. Look at the way she's booked. How can anyone watch me? How can anyone watching this product sit here and tell me, yeah, WWE did a great job with Asuka? Or how can anyone tell me, I'll do you one better? How can anyone sit here and tell me that WWE did the right thing by having Asuka's undefeated streak go away? How could you sit there and say that? Charlotte and Asuka gave a great match at WrestleMania. Charlotte only beat Asuka because she's a Flair. Asuka's streak, you know, people calling it a coincidence that streaks die in New Orleans. That may very well be the case, or, you know, that may be one of the little light bulbs that went off in Vince McMahon's head during that night. But Asuka's streak was broken because of a political push and a political agenda. Charlotte, whether you like it or not, you know, is the Roman Reigns of the women's division. Right now, Alexa Bliss is feeling that Roman Reigns effect. Everything they do, they cater to Alexa. Charlotte is the Roman Reigns of the women's division. Every time she goes away and comes back, she's in a fucking championship match with absolutely no work behind it. How can anyone sit here and tell me Asuka's streak should have been broken? Look back at it now. Even during that match, Charlotte was wrestling with a ruptured breast implant. Why did they allow Charlotte to beat Asuka? Why hasn't Asuka been SmackDown Live Women's Champion yet? After what she did in NXT so brilliantly. Asuka's undefeated streak was broken at WrestleMania. What was the outcome of that for Charlotte? Nothing. Charlotte beat Asuka. And then Charlotte lost to fucking Carmella. And Carmella is a joke. She's done nothing to warrant beating Charlotte, who beat Asuka. If you were going to transfer this position of power From Asuka to anybody, it should have been someone who was going to be a focal point of this division. And you didn't do that. A Ruby Riott, an Ember Moon, a Ronda fucking Rousey. They didn't do it. How could you sit here and tell me that Asuka's streak deserved to be broken? How I'm glad Asuka's streak is broken because it's gotten boring, or it got boring. WWE would pigeonhole themselves into a creative stalemate with Asuka being undefeated. Why? How? Only to a simpleton. Charlotte beat Asuka. Charlotte lost to Carmella. Charlotte went away for 2 months, month and a half, to get her ruptured breast implant fixed and repaired. What is this streak? What is beating Asuka's streak done for Charlotte? Nothing. Charlotte doesn't feel special. Charlotte doesn't feel more special than she is now. Charlotte hasn't had this wave of momentum. They gave the streak to someone who had a ruptured breast implant and went away for a month and a half. And Carmella reaped the benefits. If you tell me that's the right direction that you would have went in, maybe you should fucking bury your head in sand and never watch this product again. Seriously. Completely god-awful. So Asuka walking out of WWE over creative issues and over the fact that WWE didn't book her on SummerSlam, it's a believable story. I would not be shocked if that actually does happen with some of the talent employed by this company. But Asuka didn't walk out of WWE. Earlier this weekend, there was a rumor going around on social media that spread like wildfire about SmackDown Live star Asuka. The rumor claimed that she walked out on WWE last Tuesday after a heated meeting with WWE officials because she was unhappy about missing out on a big payday from SummerSlam. Okay, you got my attention. Because there's no reason why... Listen to this. Charlotte is in a title match after doing virtually nothing. Nothing. Sasha, Bayley, Ember Moon, and Asuka are not on SummerSlam's card. Yet you're giving me Finn Balor versus Baron Corbin again. Yet the B team are your tag team champions. I mean, I don't know what to think about that. Seriously. Look at those 4 women and then think about that and think about why they aren't on SummerSlam. Last year, during this very weekend, Ember Moon gave Asuka her best match in NXT. That was the best women's match of 2017, and now, a year removed, she isn't even on SummerSlam's card. How is that nurturing, caring, and pushing talent to the best of their ability? I ask you this in all seriousness. How you could go back to last SummerSlam weekend and watch that match and then turn around this year in 2018 and not even book the woman on SummerSlam's card? Are you out of your fucking minds? And I don't even need to speak on Sasha and Bayley. That's a fucking embarrassment. Unbelievable. Now, the story also claimed that she stopped returning calls. The claim online was that it was reported by Mike Johnson of PW Insider. Johnson never reported this story, and it was 100% proved as fake news. In fact, there were some tentative plans for her at SummerSlam, but as is usual with the WWE, plans change. Asuka is currently advertised locally for Tuesday SmackDown Live in what will likely be another dark match. The reason she hasn't been on TV much in recent weeks is that she is the victim of the overcrowded roster. Bullshit! Bullshit! Overcrowded roster! Never got her rematch coming out of Extreme Rules, which definitely warranted a rematch. Overcrowded roster? Yeah, I have a hard time believing that when Charlotte was away for a month and a half, yet you put her in a title match. Overcrowded roster, my cock. Overcrowded roster. Something's going on internally where someone does not like Asuka. Because there's no fucking way that this woman has been booked untouchable for 2 years to be positioned as one of the biggest forces in this fucking division's history, only to be buried by Carmella. And I don't throw the word around a lot. Asuka has been buried. No question. Overcrowded roster, my ass. Unless WWE decides to release wrestlers, you can expect to see certain wrestlers off TV for a few weeks. It's a good thing in the sense that it keeps wrestlers from getting stale, but also is not so great because it also means that wrestlers are left off big pay-per-views and big pay-per-view paydays. Asuka should be back soon, perhaps as soon as the Smackdown after SummerSlam. Again, there is no truth to the stories claiming that she had walked out. You know, I don't mind giving some wrestlers a week off here, a week off there, but when wrestlers start missing 2-3 weeks, as in this case Ember Moon, Asuka now is missing weeks, just seemingly disappeared. You know, you got a 2-hour fucking show. You can feature, a women's match here 1 week, and then Asuka can come back next week, and then, revolving door. I mentioned the revolving door analogy. Why did Almas miss almost 2 months of SmackDown Live? Why is Ember Moon now gone 3 weeks? Because you don't have anything planned for her at SummerSlam? How are people going to care about Ember Moon if you don't feature her regularly on a 3-hour show? And this is the current state of the women's division. WWE has given us rematch after rematch, rinse and repeat with the women's division every single week. What else is there for Ember Moon to do? What will there be for Ember Moon to do when Ronda Rousey wins the title? You're putting the title on someone who will not be beaten. You're going to handcuff the title again on somebody that nobody else on that roster has a chance of obtaining. So what do you do with everybody else in the meantime? What are they fighting for? Nobody's going to fight Ronda Rousey and beat them. Fuck out of here, man. You put Ronda on such a pedestal. You're going to give Ronda the title, and everybody else, because Ronda's on the pedestal, is going to feel the effect of feeling unimportant. And it's going to come off that way on TV. Asuka, apparently, I don't know what the fuck the issue is, but WWE seemingly has chosen Carmella over Asuka for whatever fucking reason. I don't know. But good on you, WWE. Not only have you embarrassed the SmackDown Live Women's Championship, but one of the crowning jewels of this revolution, is now buried. Asuka, dead. I don't give a shit about Asuka. Coming out of NXT after what happened at WrestleMania, I don't give a shit about Asuka 1 iota at all. Speaking of something that I do care about, WWE superstars in the UK are told that they can't wrestle prior to their WWE scheduled shows, meaning if they have a WWE scheduled UK show, they can't go wrestle for anywhere else in any other promotion that they're working for. Injuries are commonplace in professional wrestling, but nothing can be done about it. It's part of the business. According to the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, WWE has instituted a new policy within its United Kingdom division. I can't wait to see this. I'll definitely be reviewing that. More content for you guys. Great stuff. Due to late injuries that caused some of these shows to be rescripted, the company has told all wrestlers on the contract to the UK division that they are no longer allowed to wrestle for a 7-day grace period prior to any WWE shows they are booked on. This happened a few times before, including one of their top stars, Tyler Bate, who suffered an injury back in May of this year. The catalyst to this decision was that Travis Banks, who was in the finals of the UK tournament this year, suffered a dislocated shoulder on the night before last week's WWE UK NXT tapings. Well, listen, the only thing I have to say about it is this. I agree with WWE in wanting to protect their product, but, you're also taking a payday away from these other guys because I can't imagine a UK NXT talent being paid all that much money. It was revealed that I think they got a pay raise of I think it was $29,000 a year to maybe $34,000, $35,000 a year. And don't quote me on that. I do believe I did report that and read on that they did get a slight increase in raise. But still, you're taking money from these guys' pockets by not allowing them to wrestle. So if there's a show that they are going to be given that falls in this 7-day grace period, you're ultimately taking money away from them, and they need to be compensated. Simple as that. If you're going to institute a plan like this for these guys to not wrestle elsewhere and only for you to avoid injury, then you need to compensate these guys, whether it's monetarily or whatever. Some way. You need to give them that extra money that they are not getting elsewhere. Because, like I said, a UK talent in the NXT division is not making that much money. Certainly not enough money to live off of. Come on now. I understand WWE wanting to protect its own product and shows and not have it be forced where they have to rewrite shit due to an unfortunate injury elsewhere for another promotion, but you got to compensate these guys accordingly. That's the only issue I have with that. That remains to be seen, though. Finally, guys, I got one more news story here, and I find it very fucking coincidental because of the shit that I know from people that I know about Alexa Bliss. Becky Lynch was asked if Alexa Bliss and the online criticism for her is harsh. The response that she gave was incredibly interesting. Now, we all love Becky. We all love Becky. We want to see Becky succeed. We all kind of feel the same way about Alexa Bliss. She's given shit undeservedly. She isn't really that good in the ring. She doesn't work in the ring and does as little as everybody else in the division. And she certainly has plenty of hate online. I mean, she has her fucking sicko fans, just like Roman Reigns does. The Alexa Bliss fan base and the Roman Reigns fan base are the two most cancerous fan bases for any professional wrestler I've ever seen. So she certainly has her lovers and her haters online, especially Twitter. They argue that she has gotten ahead because of her good looks, and the people who love her say that she's the greatest of all time. Such a polarizing fucking community. Now, while plenty of fans would find that these notions are ludicrous, it's still a recurring theme week in and week out. Now, Give Me Sport actually conducted an interview with Becky Lynch last week, and they asked Lynch if Bliss and the online criticism to her is harsh. Lynch had this to say about the 2006 feud in which that resulted in Bliss winning her first WWE main roster women's championship. Alex McCarthy of Give Me Sport tweeted out, "Just spoken to Becky Lynch. One of the questions I asked was, considering her great feud with Alexa Bliss in 2016, is some of the online criticism Bliss gets harsh?" She says this, and I quote, "Well, who was she in the ring with? I'll let you take that for what it's worth." End quote. Now, although the chances are Lynch being, in a joking way, it's a possibility. You know, she's always been very tongue-in-cheek, and she's always been very, cheerful and sarcastic and witty. You know, it's not the coincidence that something like that was said, because I have people in the industry that I know, that I talk to, that I work with, who know Alexa Bliss. And all the online criticisms of Alexa Bliss, everybody that I've heard from has been 100% accurate. Everything that I see online about the haters and what they say, going back and referencing the people that I know and what they said, it's all true. Alexa Bliss is lazy. Alexa Bliss has done nothing to get better in the ring. Alexa Bliss is afraid to take bumps. She does as least work as possible to get by. She politics backstage incredibly hard. When she wants to do something, she'll politic for it to happen. When she doesn't want to do something, or if something's presented to her and she doesn't want to do it, she'll politic to not do it. There's a reason why Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss have a real life heat between one another. And the fact that that is reported, and I know for a fact that it's true, and then you hear something like this, it's very difficult to look at this and say, yeah, Becky was joking. Because I know for a fact she's not. She may have laughed. She may have been very tongue-in-cheek. But Alexa Bliss, I'm telling you right now, the body of work that Alexa Bliss has showcased for the last 2 years has been terrible. And the fact that she's a women's champion right now over an Ember Moon or a Ruby Riott or a Sasha Banks or even a Bayley, it's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. If Alexa Bliss was so good at what she did, then the matches with Nia Jax would have been fucking fantastic. Who brought Nia Jax to her best match? I think that would be Sasha Banks, correct? In that women's gauntlet match? That shit was fantastic. Nia and Sasha had us on the edge of our seat in that match. When Sasha and Nia had the last 2 spots in that gauntlet match. That's how good Sasha Banks is, but she doesn't get the credit that she deserves. Oh, botch here. She ruined Paige's career. Go fuck yourself. Injuries happen. Careers are ended every day in this sport. For you to go out there and blame Sasha Banks for what she did, how fucking stupid are you? How stupid are you? Shit happens. Just like a baseball player would get injured running the fucking baseline, pulled the hamstring. You're going to blame the other fucking team? Oh, it was the other team's fault. You know? Fuck out of here, man. Ridiculous. Anyway, I'm getting out of here, man. I just found that to be quite hilarious, and I wanted to report that to you guys here. In closing, on part 3 of episode 234 for this weekend, Off the Script. I'll see you guys tonight for Monday Night Raw, man. The go-home show should be good. We'll see what happens with that. I don't know if Lesnar's going to be there, but apparently there's a contract signing between Ziggler and Seth Rollins, and we'll see what else happens, man. I really don't give a shit at this point because I am really, really unenthusiastic right now about Summer Scam. Speaking of Summerslam, Summer Scam! T-shirts are on sale. Barbershopwindow.com/offthescript. Get your t-shirts. 20% off. Use the code BSHOP20. Harry's, please make sure you guys support Harry's. Harry's.com/script. Get your free trial shave set. And then Audible, audibletrial.com/offthescript. 1 month free of their service and 1 free audiobook of your choice. High Intensity 7 with Solomonster. First time JD and Solomonster are going to be working together. HOGWrestling.net. Come on out this Friday. I'll be there. And once again, guys, rest in peace, Jim the Anvil Neidhart. I'm JD. Thank you guys so very much. I'm getting out of here. I'll see you guys tonight for Monday Night Raw. I'll talk to you later.